On your marks, get set, walk. Here's my spoiler-free review of The Long Walk. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. Yes, I talk to you about horror movies and books as well, but mainly Stephen King, and this video is very much a Stephen King one because I'm going to be offering my thoughts on the latest Stephen King movie adaptation. Yes, it's The Long Walk, which came out everywhere yesterday as I sit here recording this, and yes, of course, I went to watch it on opening night. So I'm going to be offering a spoiler-free review of the movie in this video, and of course, I would love to hear your thoughts on this movie once you've seen it. Keep them spoiler-free, but let me know in the comments, what did you think of this? Did you enjoy it? Maybe mention your favourite moments, if you can keep them spoiler-free, all of that kind of stuff. Now, while my review will be spoiler-free, I am also going to round up a couple of Easter eggs that I noticed and go through some differences between the book and the movie. Some of those might spoil a first-time watch for you, but they will be clearly marked in the chapter description and in the video. You will have ample opportunities, or I guess for The Long Walk, you will have ample warnings to avoid them. So if you do inadvertently spoil something for yourself, you're basically getting your own ticket, okay? So that's what I've got planned. However, before that, I thought it'd be worth doing a quick history of this project because this is a film that has been knocking around for quite a long time and I thought it'd be useful context for you. So we'll do that first and then on to the review. Let's get going. So this movie, as you probably know, is based on Stephen King's 1979 novel of the same name, which he released under his pseudonym Richard Bachman. And the story here is a pretty simple one. It's a competition in a dystopian future version of America where on the 1st of May every single year 100 boys line up at the top of Maine and start walking. And they have to keep walking at 4 miles per hour. If they drop below pace, they get a warning. They can get up to 3 warnings. They don't get a 4th warning. If they're on their 3rd warning and they still fail to make the pace, they get their ticket, which means they are executed. They are shot right there and then. And the walk keeps going until there is 1 boy left standing. And that remaining walker is the winner and their prize is anything they desire. Now, it is a banging novel. And I really enjoyed my reread of it from earlier this year, which you can check out up there as well. And I've also covered 19 reasons to read this book way back on this channel, but you can check that video out as well. And I will link both of those in the description. Now, The Long Walk, aside from being a great novel, is also kind of iconic in King's bibliography. It's many people's choice as the best of the Bachman books, but it's also been a bit of one that stands out as to why it hasn't been a movie. Feels like a real surprise that it's taken us this long to get a movie. Well, it's not for lack of trying. So as far back as 1988, George A. Romero was penned in to direct an adaptation of this, but it never happened. Then we jump forward to 2007 and Frank Darabont, who made The Mist, The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. He had the rights to it, and he was certain he was going to get round to it eventually. But he didn't. Which in some ways is kind of a shame because he wanted to make it all low budget and weird and existential, but it still never happened. So fast forward to 2018 and New Line Cinema was going to do something with this adaptation. They had James Vanderbilt attached to write and produce the film, along with Bradley Fisher and William Sherrack. And then in 2019, we got word that Andre Ovredal was going to direct this movie. And then again, not a long walk, but a long wait. Up to 2023, when Lionsgate finally emerged and said, no, this is actually happening now, trust us. They had Francis Lawrence directing and JT Molnar doing the screenplay. Now he put out my favourite horror film of last year, Strange Darlings. And finally this one got momentum enough and actually got made. The 2 main characters, McVrees and Garrity, I guess Garrity and McVrees, either way, those 2, they got cast pretty early on. Cooper Hoffman as Garrity and David Johnson, who you may recognise from Alien Romulus, as McVrees. Now the Cooper Hoffman casting was pretty interesting because Garrity's character in the book is someone who loses their father quite young same thing happened to Cooper Hoffman. If you recognise his surname, yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman. That was his dad. Here's what Cooper Hoffman had to say. When your trauma is on display for the world, there's no actually hiding it. I'm like, I might as well talk about it, or I might as well put it into something. Because if I keep hiding it and running from it, that's not fair to anyone else who has gone through that. I'm here to display this person and this experience as honestly as I can, and hopefully someone else watches it and goes, he sees me, he understands me. And that's, in my opinion, the only reason to do any sort of art. And then from that point onwards, the cast started filling up, and we eventually had the film shot in 2024, all done by September 2024, score done earlier this year, and eventually, after all that time, it's a finished film in cinemas, ready for the world to see. But is it any good? Well, now it's time to go on to my spoiler-free review of The Long Walk. Right, let's get this out of the way at the top. This film is terrific. I went into the theatre last night pretty hopeful based on the fact that the trailers were both good, but also at the same time wary, because I have been bitten by trailers before. Either trailers that are just snazzily edited to make it look like something that the final film isn't, or just trailers that just get too excited and give you all of the best bits, all of the best twists, and basically the entire film in the trailer, and just blow their wad in that 2 minutes to get you excited online and to get you into the cinema. Thankfully, The Long Walk is not one of those movies. My main reaction when I came out of the cinema was, they did it. They actually did it. They made The Long Walk and they nailed it. And I was so happy with it. And even now, almost 24 hours on, I'm still really happy with it. And I think I'm going to continue to be happy with it for a very long time. This movie is grueling to watch in all of the best ways and in a way that is fitting with the walk itself. I really like how there were basically no flashbacks apart from one scene with Garrity, which is crucial to the story. And there's no messing around at the start. There's no long-winded backstory as to what the walk is, no explanation about motivations for doing the walk or anything like that. Nah, we see Garrity getting dropped off, we meet the rest of the main characters, the Major turns up, spouts some nonsense, and then starts the walk, and we are up and walking, and we're with those boys right from the start, all the way through this film. And that grueling nature of it just makes you on edge the entire movie, and you are gripped from start to finish. The characters are shot up close and personal. It's really intimate, it's really claustrophobic as well. And there's this balance between seeing them as people and then seeing the walkers get snuffed out one by one that is really well done. Like at the start, we get about 10 minutes of walking where there's loads of crucial groundwork laid out for our characters. And then we see the first walker get their ticket, and we see it in staggeringly gory, horrific detail. And then bang, you get the title credits. And you realise right away that we are in for something psychological, emotional, harrowing, and horrific. So the whole film naturally is the walking. And because of that, it's kind of mundane, and yet it's still gripping all the way through. And they build in enough set pieces throughout the walk to give you moments where your heart rate is raised even more. You're already tense watching it, but then you have these moments that just explode things. We see the walkers gamble with warnings. We see individuals get taken out. And we see this exhaustion creeping in for all of the competitors. And then there are some full-on terrifying moments, like a nighttime walk up a hill that does for a bunch of the walkers. Or these awful instances of individual characters getting sick or getting injured or just losing it completely. You get those moments in the book and they translate beautifully to the screen. Well, not beautifully, it's horrific, but so compelling and captivating. The whole film is grueling and tense, but those little flourishes just add so much extra bite and pizzazz to it. So in terms of some of the set pieces for me, there were some standout moments I wanted to mention. I'm going to mention a couple of character names here, but for me it's not spoilers to mention them here because, frankly, even if you haven't read the book, the film is set up so that you know very early on who are going to be among the final walkers. So if you absolutely don't want to hear this, just skip ahead, maybe like 20-30 seconds. But the things I really loved, aside from that uphill walk, But my top moments were the tank wheel amputation, which was like, whoa. Hank getting his ticket and screaming that he did it all wrong, which was just utterly heartbreaking. And the build-up in tension towards Barkovich's demise, which was just, I could feel my heart throbbing in those moments. You could see him putting his affairs in order and then getting his ticket, and so powerful, so good. But for all that this movie is gory and horrific, and it's very violent, this movie is about so much more than gore. The performances and the characters that we get here are what makes this movie absolutely soar. And everyone on the cast is doing a great job. Like, there's so many people that I want to shout out, and I'm going to do that right now. So Mark Hamill as the Major is a cartoon character, but is perfect for this role. Also perfect is Ben Wang as Hank Olsen, like perfectly annoying for that character, and a great performance. You get Charlie Plummer as Gary Barkovich, and he is the absolute prick bastard who he has to be for that character. It's spot on. We've got Joshua Odjick as Collie Parker, who becomes increasingly more important as the film goes on and becomes an absolute hero. We've got Tut Nyott as Art Baker, who is just completely endearing. And Garrett Waring as Stebbins too is also great, if a little underused. But it's the lead duo of Cooper Hoffman as Ray Garrity and David Johnson as Pete McVries, who are the real dream team here. Both of them are sensational, and their chemistry is undeniable, and their performances capture everything that is great about these characters from the book. Their heart, their courage, their humanity, their strength, their mutual respect for each other, and that underlying throb of sexual tension that is between them on the pages and is definitely there on the screen. Quite simply, they're brilliant. Now, when it comes to the ending, without giving anything away, without giving any spoilers away, they absolutely nailed the ending. It took a swing, and when I saw it, I actually gasped out loud. In summary, this film is visceral. It's pretty quiet. They decided to make The Long Walk not a spectator sport, which is different from the book. And I understand it from a filmmaking point of view, because it means you don't have to have hundreds of extras. And it kind of worked for this eerie, bleak atmosphere. The film was also haunting and harrowing and horrifying. Yet at the same time, it was moving and very powerful for it. I think the most striking thing for me, though, was it felt like it was made by people who understood King and Bachman, because this movie captures the absolute sheer bleakness of Richard Bachman, but also the soaring humanity of Stephen King. And it does them both a brilliant service. And you know, I've had time to chew this over. For me, this is the best Stephen King adaptation since It Chapter 1. And it's jumped straight into my top 10 all-time Stephen King adaptations. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments, because that is my spoiler-free review done. Now, at this point, I'm going to talk about some Easter eggs I spotted, and I'm going to go through some changes from book to screen that I spotted. Those might spoil a first-time watch, so consider this your first warning. You can check the timestamp below to jump to the outro, or you can just bail completely on the video at this point. But if you're looking to dodge all spoilers, you should bail now. Okay, otherwise, let's look at some Easter eggs. Okay, Easter eggs then. Second warning, I am going to be talking about them, just be aware. I didn't spot loads. So the main Easter egg I spotted was that the walk started on the 19th anniversary of some unknown war that had torn America apart. There was also a crucified crow at one point, which made me think of Randall Flagg, but to be honest, I didn't linger on it too much. There aren't many connections among the cast and crew to other Stephen King works either. We've got Mark Hamill, who was in The Life of Chuck earlier this year, and that's about it. So, I'm now going to go into differences between the book and the film. So again, consider this your third warning. If you want to bail at this point, please bail. Otherwise, some things might be spoiled for you. Okay, so some things I noticed. The number of walkers is reduced from 100 to 50, makes it one walker per state, which Makes sense, I get that. And the time between warnings is reduced from 30 seconds to 10 seconds, which kind of ups the ante. Also, the minimum speed, it's 4 mile an hour in the book, it's 3 mile an hour here, which does actually feel a bit more realistic when you consider that they are walking for literally days without stopping. So some characters got merged, some of the traits and things got merged, which often happens with movies. So there's no Scram character here, and instead here we get Olsen, who is the walker who is married, and Stebbins is the one who falls ill. But that all worked, it made sense. In the movie, Garrity's father, instead of just being taken away by the squads, we see in that flashback scene I referenced earlier, we see him being personally executed by the Major, which is Garrity's motivation for entering the walk and for winning, which I guess just adds a bit of tension on screen, which is useful. And there's a slight change in the final three, the order of it in the book. McVrees finishes third, and then it's Garrity and Stebbins as the top two, whereas in the movie, Stebbins bows out in third place, and we're left with Garrity and McVrees as the top two. Now, there's one more change to mention, and it's the ending. So consider this your absolute final warning. I'm going to talk about the ending, and I know I've badged this as a spoiler-free review, so this is a bit cheeky of me, but I've given you enough warning now. I'm going to spoil the ending for you in a moment. So bail if you need to. So the ending is changed from the book. In the book, Garrity wins. And when he wins, he just sees this dark figure up ahead, and we're left with him racing off to try and catch up. In the movie, the final two are Garrity and McVrees. And McVrees basically sits down in an attempt to let Garrity win. And Garrity spots him, picks him up, and encourages him to get walking again. But unbeknownst to McVrees, Garrity then sacrifices himself at that point in a really, really powerful and heartbreaking moment. And the way it's set up in the movie is that the Major executes the final one to get their ticket. So the Major comes in and kills Garrity, and McVrees wins. Now we learn in the film that what Garrity wants to do with his prize is to ask for a gun so he can then just shoot the Major. And McVrees talks him out of that, trying to convince him of the good in doing work that helps people and all of that kind of stuff. But in that moment, when McVrees realises he's won, he asks for the gun and he shoots the Major, and then he turns around and just walks off into the distance, and the film ends. Like I said, it was swing, and I really liked it. I really admired it. And it was summed up perfectly by the guy on the row in front of me who just went, fuck. Yeah, exactly. That's what you want at the end of a movie, right? Great. But what did you think of it? Do let me know, but keep it spoiler free in the comments, okay? Just say ending good, ending not so good, okay? Okay, there we go. My thoughts on The Long Walk. I had a great time with it. I think it's one of the best Stephen King films in absolute ages. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Now, if you've made it this far, well done. You've walked for miles and miles. I'm going to throw some plugs at you before I let you go though. So everything I want to plug is in the comments. But those things are my award-winning collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, my Stephen King trivia book, my range of Stephen King themed band shirts, and the fact that you can become a constant viewer, become a member of this channel, support me directly, get extra content and all that kind of stuff. None of that works for you, fine. Watching this video is hugely appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and if you are a subscriber, maybe tell a friend about it. And I will see you again very soon for more Stephen King stuff. Take care.